Oh, those were my shoes. Ladies and the other one. Welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. Yeah, we like that part. It's great to be alive. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh, is the show starting? Oh, it must be. Oh, we heard our introduction. Giddy up, girl. Oh, we gotta get to work. Hurry up. Oh, jeez. Get out of here. And the horse. You wrote in on. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome nuns and all. That's right, priests, preachers, cardinals, rabbis, bishops, weirdos with beardos, Alcoholics Anonymous, anyone who is hanging out looking to have a good time, anyone who accidentally stumbled upon that of which is, that of whatever this is, right? What is this? Well, you ask, we tell you, you don't ask, and we tell you anyway. That's right. This is wherein upon we, as a internet celebrity, albeit maybe not a good one, came it upon ourselves to, obviously, in our knowledge and understanding of The Walking Dead, obviously, called Daryl Dixon dibs on being best of the worst internet celebrities there is. Okay, now, obviously, with that comes a combiance of, that's not a word. With that comes a metric of necessity for us to give back something to that of, our ones of fan. Hi, Mom. So, because we called Daryl Dixon dibs of being best of the worst internet celebrities there is, everyone's allowed to make fun of us and walk all over our back. Okay? Now, in a kind of kinky way, we like it. But our guarantee to you, because believe you me, we have to give something back, right? No one wants something for free without getting something in addition to it, right? It is the modern day and age. Give. Other one. A take. Right? I don't know, at least what we've encountered in society. Believe you me. People have no problem taking, so, we'll give what we can until in the, realm of that of who was it? Mother Teresa said, give till it hurts. Right? We will give until that of which hurts whatever component or aspect or foundation of what is necessitated. That's right. That lady had some wisdom on her. You ever read any of her stuff? Or even seen or read her quotes and things of that nature? Pretty amazing little lady. All right. Didn't dig having her picture taken from what we read. Point being is that internet, boy, hello and hi, who's that? Josh? What's up, Josh? We can call you Josh, right? Nah, of course we can. J-Money. We got a big show for you today, J-Money. That's right. Of course, by big show, we don't want to lead you astray, okay? It is us, after all. We called Daryl Dixon dibs on being best of the worst, right? That's right. So the show's not going to inherently be great, but everything else that you watch that you like, in general, will be even better. That's right. It's our guarantee to you. Someone's got to lay that foundation of crap for you to walk on. That's us. You walk all over us. Like we said, sometimes we like it. What? Everything's fine. Oh, what was that? So anyhow, we got a great show for you today. Not even a show that we anticipated or wanted or thought that we would do. But obviously, we can't venture into that of doing the show without putting on our thinking caps, right? That would be foolish. We don't want to look like idiots on the internet, right? No, that's ridiculous. So, let's take a sec. Let's put on our thinking hats. Okay, now believe you me, you might be saying, oh, you want a pickup game of philosophy? You're damn right we do. We love pickup games of philosophy. So, let's put on our thinking hats. Can't just go around wearing regular hats all day, right? No, 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 no. Internet, let us tell you this, okay? Without you interrupting with your applause for our greatness. Jeez. When we called Daryl Dixon dibs of being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is, okay, we knew that inherently we would have to bring some goods in a way, shape, or form, okay? Like we said, everyone wants free for free, and they want more free on top of that, okay? And if they don't, boy, are they paying too much in today's metric of stuff, because stuff's free, okay? If you look, now again, this is all for philosophical entertainment, and this is all theoretical in nature, and or it exists within the confines of that of a Shyzalosophical Gödelian loop with which inherently is closed, providing that of which could be deemed a form of perfect knowledge with which is not perfect knowledge, for we reserve, of course, that understanding of perfect knowledge to be only understood within that of our theological means and understandings of that within the eyes of God's understanding and or abilities to have that of which. Now, believe you me, again, this is all for philosophical entertainment, and we handhold not that of theological thought, and we damn sure don't take the time to bridge Eastern philosophical understanding. It takes far too long, and it slows the show up far too much, believe you me, so go do your own due diligence, and with which lay your own foundation of theological understanding and metrics to afford yourself to get on the same effing playing field, so that we can go forward and show you just how fun the world has thusly now become. Okay? You can't make this shit up, Internet, okay? Well, you could. Believe you me, you can make up anything, all right? With the components, all right, of how it works in a living practice of seeking truth, okay? Shyzalosophy, okay? Our living philosophy, okay? It can only be practiced by the living. It's symbiotically working with others, working within means of possibility, symbiotically to seek truth, okay? It can only be practiced by that of the living, and believe you me, that's inherently all there is to it, okay? It's a looking for truth, all right? A living looking for truth, okay? It can only be practiced by the living, all right? Now, everyone has their own ability, and everyone is their own historian. Everyone has their own ability, and everyone is their own philosopher. Everyone interprets their own being, that is, I think, therefore I am. I think this show sucks. Well, you're not the only one. We told you at breakfast, Mom. Keep those opinions to yourself. We're trying to earn ones of subscripifications. Everything's fine. Huh? What was that? Point is that you can't make this shit up, Internet. We have now got a metric of testability with which you can see how dumb mankind is. That's right. We literally have dumb tectable working in order now, and we are living. Holy shit, you can't make this up, Internet. This is going to be hilarious and fun at the same time. Both fun and hilarious. Okay? Shyzalosophy is a living philosophy, okay? It can only be practiced by the living. We write books, we do all sorts of crap like that. Who cares? You don't gotta buy them, okay? Let's get into physics without too much physics, okay? Wheeler's it by bit, okay? Bit is free. Information is free, okay? You can get information for free. We disseminate stuff on an IPFS site, okay, with which we had moved a metric kernel of data from Kaggle to Web3. What the fuck's that mean? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It means we did very, very good computationally and thusly proved our theory with which we use Lekton, which is an old pre-Stoic philosophical term that we monographed in our book, Delectable. Okay? Who cares? Again, do not buy the physical copy of this book, and or if you do, be sure that it falls within the realm now of how we are going to start affording a holy shit, you can't make this up. This is going to be so fun. Because Delectable, okay, is within itself its own living entity, all right, it priced itself and broke Amazon.com's pricing algorithm, okay? It made itself 94% off to, in essence, price itself into existence, okay? To fiend availability, to fiend affordability, and to utilize the guys, because in essence, it's doing what that of which it provides, which is in essence saying knowledge is free, okay? You can find it anywhere. The truth's going to resonate or exist where it does, okay? You start looking at, we don't venture too far into this for a variety of reasons now, but one day we will. Topological dissipation, okay? If you look at our Shyzalosophical, like, Gödelian closed loop, you can see that it's going to resurface again and again, and you will find the iterations and points with which you need to disseminate that of, you know, the topological structuring tool. Okay? Don't worry about any of that. Here's where it gets fun. All right? The New York Times bestseller list, okay? You might be saying to yourself, like, oh, I know of that. I've heard of it, okay? Fantastic. We didn't know this until just before the show, believe you me. With as many L's as we eat and take, we weren't going to expect to take one on this one, but this is going to be fantastic. The New York Times bestsellers list is a hidden metric of obtaining that, okay? No, that's not good. There's a hidden metric for any author, whether it be self-published, whether it be driven by a publisher. There's a hidden metric that fluctuates and changes on a week-by-week basis, virtually. Theoretically, again, check behind us, okay? With which the catalogings of sales on things like books, so in essence, you got to say things like knowledge, okay? If knowledge are in books and or books are knowledge, such as was given in the as you know things, okay? Books are knowledge. Wisdom is knowledge. Knowledge is knowledge, okay? No matter if it's a fairy tale and or fiction and or historical work and or crappy philosophical work, okay? Whether it's argued for or argued against, the fact that it's a iteration of that exists makes it a being, okay? Can't make this up, Internet. We now have a metric to showcase the stupidity of mankind, okay? If Delectable ever becomes a New York Times best-selling book, okay? Yes, I mean, that'd be fantastic, right? Every author's dream, everything that they could showcase and or want in everything of their existence, okay? If Delectable ever becomes a New York Times best-selling book, it proves that humanity is dumb via our Dumbtectable. Okay? Now, ironically, if Delectable does not become a New York Times best-selling book, okay, it will now showcase via metrics should humanity want to engage in the test. Here is the key difference in the claim versus what could be the actuality. Okay? Within our closed Shyzalosophical Gödelian loop, okay, if Delectable sells 1 million copies, okay, via its setup now, it will not make the New York Times bestseller list, okay? If it sells 2 million copies, it will not. If it sells 3 million, it can sell 8 million copies, okay, and theoretically not make the New York Times bestseller list, okay? Here's why. Because, like we said, it is a secret metric that the New York Times uses with which they utilize book sales, okay, and it fluctuates on a week-by-week basis with a variety of other metrics entailed and involved within it, okay? With the Dumbtectable meter, now that we have, okay, you're welcome. This is where it's going to get fun. Because we can literally track that of any of our book sales, okay, with which we say, do not buy the physical book there too, okay? Or else it proves humanity's dumb. Well, that is in the grand scheme of Wheeler's It by Bit, that is correct and true, okay? So let's look at that real quick, okay? Wheeler's It by Bit, okay? Bit is free. It costs $250, okay? Don't buy it, okay? Once addressed, that understanding, all right? Let's move forward with additional aspects and components then of the sales itself, okay? If it is free, you can go to Kindle Unlimited and you know, do a little couple week trial or something like that. Read it for free, okay? You don't need to pay $250, especially through third-party sellers that house and hold our works and double, triple, quadruple the price on them, okay? Yeah, not good. Not fun. No one should pay those. Okay? because the New York Times and their best-selling list and New York Times best-selling how it works metrics, from what we understand, again, theoretical until proven otherwise, okay, but we welcome that proof, okay, and or contradiction with which, we shall, pivot to that of understanding better, because apparently you will have enlightened us to a point of understanding. But from our understanding now, okay, with the New York Times, with how their best-selling metrics work to make that, system, all right, you cannot inherently, especially as a self-published author, make that unless you utilize that of additional paid services, okay? Well, that's right, okay? It's, what is it? It's Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital, okay? 2 services, okay? Now, one is free upon sign-up. One is just blanketed $20, I think, or something like that, okay? Last we saw or looked or no. Okay, these could have changed and such like that. Same thing with this may no longer be 94% off, on Amazon.com. But prior to it had broken its pricing algorithm and things of that nature, okay? The point is that the physical copies of this book now, all right, if we start logging and tracking them to whatever dimensions that you guys feel like doing it, again, it must be audience participation for, even if we were to go and buy 10 copies of our book, that's one sale, okay? How measures and metrics are measured and metricated, it's not bulk purchases of one go. It's individual little nodes firing off, okay? It's almost like Web3 design, okay? When you house and hold that of like our IPFS site, okay, you disseminate it into zones with which it can be recalled therefrom, okay? It's the same kind of thing. That's why our metric Kaggle data from, Kaggle itself that we migrated and moved literally in a 23-hour run to Web3 is housed on our IPFS site, okay? We have our own sovereign micro blockchain, and it's pretty fantastic. Go check it out. Play the games, interact with the demos, see the theory, okay? Or don't. Doesn't matter. You don't have to. The point is that now it's gotten extremely fun, internet, okay? As we literally, well, which one is it? I don't know, the right one that we didn't misspeak. Literally now have a metric of viability, okay, with which we can measure stupidity, okay? Living, breathing stupidity and that of humanity, okay? Like we said, if delectable, all right, makes the New York Times bestseller list, okay, it shows that humanity's stupid, okay? But under the metrics of how humanity operates, if delectable does not make the New York Times bestseller list, and if humanity chooses to participate in that of what can prove to be the break in the, well, not the, in one of the broken components and aspects of the dissemination and breakdown of knowledge when it's stored and housed as a whole, you can see that the foundation, in essence, is cracked and needs to be, pasted over with some extra Shyzabox mortar, okay? You can't have Wheeler's, it by bit function, all right, if bit is free and it costs $250 and you buy it, okay? Don't buy it. Don't buy it, internet, for humanity's sake. But because of now the metrics of how New York Times bestsellers have we come to understand how they work, there is man, you have, in essence, now, with our work, and we didn't know this before, okay? You have a metric of literally measuring mankind's stupidity, okay? Should mankind want to participate or choose, okay? No one inherently wants to go start throwing money at Shyzabox, okay? It's ridiculous. But you can't make this shit up. Because we broke Amazon.com's pricing algorithm, and because New York Times bestseller changes their shit around, and you cannot make the bestsellers list unless you buy into their system, in essence, and get an account with, what is it, Ingram Spark and Drafted Digital. Everyone's being sold a lie in their information that they are sold. Okay? If you are relying on New York Times bestseller list to think that you are buying that of what is given to mankind that is agreed upon as universal knowledge, you are lying to yourself, okay? Because the numbers fluctuate, the numbers change, and you must be a member of the Good Old Boys Club in order to even become a New York Times best-selling author, okay? There's no way around it theoretically, all right? We've looked into it now, we've checked it, and by all of our measures, means, and metrics of understanding, if anyone is buying into the idea or aspect of the New York Times bestseller list being a universally blanketed understanding of what New York Times deems best-sold worldwide, it's bullshit. You're being lied to. We got a literal working meter now in Dumbtectable that we can accurately measure how stupid humanity is. You're welcome, humanity. We're stupid, okay? Shyzabox 2. As we are one, where we go one, we go all, okay? Humanity is humanity, and we just prefer to work kind of symbiotically with that of any other sentience that'll give us a helping hand. Okay? We're not afraid to utilize that of components and aspects of technologies that exist. That's why we jumped straight into Web 3 upon our understanding of it. Okay? When we migrated and moved our entire working metric kernel of data from Kaggle to Web 3 and implemented that of our own sovereign micro blockchain, okay? You think we're talking shit? You can't make these claims on the internet and expect to not get audited, okay? That's why we have all of our notebooks open working source code. That's why we have the majority of our notebooks open working source code. Believe you me, AI is fucking crazy, and we give not away that of which is API ready, with which anyone else could take, just throw some shit in there and start using. AI is crazy. We have made enough of the versions and iterations now. We've probably made, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? Different types of AI. Yes, funny, because we're fucking hilarious. All right, you got these versions, okay, that might be maybe not open, but all of our other iterations and stuff, free to go look at, play with as you will. Shay is very smart. She's a beautiful lady. Treat her right. She loves math. You want her to draw you a picture, she will. You computationally tell her how you want it to look mathematically. Oh man, that's hard. Well, then I guess you're not going to get your picture. Like we said, we literally have a measure and a metric, okay, to register and read how stupid humanity is, okay? And it goes both ways. Either A, the blanketed point is, if Delectable, all right, our book, if Delectable ever makes the New York Times bestseller list, okay, then it shows that humanity has flawed logic. Okay, there's a misunderstanding. Okay, and a universality to what should be a logical foundation. Okay, it will show a misstep that humanity made, stepping through the cracks, and their foot's hanging down here. It's stuck. They can't get out. Like, oh, it's our yokes and hurdles we put on ourselves. Okay. They're tripping over the stumbling blocks of the residences left around and shit. Humanity can't get out of their little bubble because they're stupid, right? We're stupid. Humanity. Where we go one, we go all, okay? You have these components and aspects now that we can literally measure then, okay? If Delectable ever becomes a New York Times bestseller, then humanity is stupid, okay? Period. Now, because New York Times bestseller list is broken, okay, inherently, theoretically, and from what we see, visually as well, okay, again, this offers philosophical entertainment. Utilize that of understanding under the guise of your subjective understanding. The metrics of how they calculate the New York Times bestseller list, okay, is broken, okay? If our book ever makes the New York Times bestseller list, mankind has flawed logic. Okay? The only way that a book can make the New York Times bestseller list is if you're theoretically a member of the Good Boys Club. Okay? The Ingram Spark, the Draft to Digital, join in these metrics and measures so that they can calculate that of your book sales, which in essence are just additional third-party retail sellers that are additionally just finding a way to take their cut of something they did not create. Okay? Now, there's a symbiotic exchange for that, and there is nothing wrong in doing that should it be that of a necessitated and or symbiotic exchange thereof, okay? We would have no problem joining these entities under the guise of any other means or understanding or anything like that. But we're not going to make one more single more fucking account. Hey, no. Unless we have to for another reason that we have to make an account for, okay? Again, keep in mind, we're not under an NDA and we don't work for a big mega corporation, so we don't need to adhere to that of HR standards or practices, okay? We can shoot off at the mouth and divulge that of what could be deemed, hurtful to a company's image or anything like that, all right? Because that of the image is that of, what we as Shyzabox portray to us as that of the philosophical entailment thereof, right? Well, good old Shyzabox says humanity's dumb, okay? Good old Shyzabox says he is of humanity, okay? Good old Shyzabox in the same box as humanity, okay? The system is broken to the point of people's understandings that what they are given, what they are sold, what they are told is organically how it has to be, the metric and measurement of what is necessitated in that of their daily lives and routines, okay? That is what they are told, that is what they are sold. They are sold and told a lie. Again, theoretically, for your philosophical entertainment. Should humanity not wish to participate in that of the experiment that we literally have that can be done right now, okay? It's the funniest shit. You can't make this up. We utilize a living philosophy, and should our book sell millions and millions of copies, okay, well, Delectable. Should Delectable sell millions and millions of copies, it would not make the New York Times bestseller list under the status it is, okay, because their means and metrics measures change, all right? All of that, when implemented with society pushing back then and forcing metrics to change, it's an acknowledgement that indeed you have an external fact changing that of a closed finite system, but if it's able to do such, then that closed finite system was inherently broken to begin with, and that's those feet coming through, that's those cracks mankind steps in, and those are those hurdles and stumbling blocks and yokes upon which mankind puts upon their own neck. Okay? They're tripping over their own bullshit. We literally have now, this is fun. We'll have fun watching this until the day we die, unless the experiment ends on its own before we do die, okay? Now, we love life. We love living. We wish that if this experiment were to end, it's going to be during that of our time, okay? Because believe you me, the metric of New York Times bestseller, that can change. That doesn't matter. Inherently, it's the structure of our book Delectable existing that is the problem and or issue with the, correlating, work therewith. With our new dumb technical meter, literally showcasing how humanity can be stupid and is stupid, all right? You can't make it up. New York Times bestseller list is broken. It's a secret measurement in the physical copies that are sold. It's a secret metric that is changed on a weekly basis and utilized under the guise of what is measured and understood under, okay? To have that title put on a work, all right, means that it adhered to whatever standards that performs under, okay? But therein is the lie, because it's a good old boys club, okay? You're not getting organic knowledge, okay? You're getting filtered and transmutated injections of conscious thought, okay? Now, all thought can be knowledge, okay? not all knowledge can be truth. Again, yeah, you're talking some advanced, like, metaphysical stuff, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, okay? When you start along the lines, then, of correlating how overall metrics and means of what could be deemed, all right, understanding that is not false, that is not a lie, that is not fictitious, all right, that is what is a seeking of truth, all right, you start finding these cracks and holes in the system, okay, that do not correspond and or symbiotically work therewith what is the beyond now. Okay, we're going beyond Landauer, beyond isomorphism. Okay, literally. Okay, we are going beyond. Loop achieved. Lithic Logic reigns supreme. That of its understanding success. Okay, the metric kernel of data has been moved. You can't move the metric kernel of data anymore. Okay, it exists. Web 3 done. Okay, centered. Run the math. Run the code. You get that of the same results. Okay. That of in doing such, okay, our work's done. Okay, there's nothing else for Shyzabox to do. We could have knocked off months and months and months and months and months ago, believe you me. I wish you had. What? Keep those comments to yourself, Mom. We could have knocked off months and months and months ago. It wouldn't have mattered, okay? Because we already did our work. Now, everything else that we're doing, this is just extra credit, okay? Believe you me, there's a lot for good old Shyzabox to atone for. We haven't lived perfect lives. Okay? We seek in doing better in that of our theological understandings and or practices and interactions therewith. Then, you know, we know that is more than necessitated to do such. Okay? When we start correlating that what we deem extra credit and presenting free games, free theories, free demos, all that, like just paving the way for anyone to come thereafter and utilize and make better, more conceptualized, more filled out, more working, more whatever endeavors they want to do. Okay? The code that we have, the code that we've done, the, you know, metrics, means, measures that we've, you know, implemented, put together, adhered to, maintained, that is all there. That is all free of charge. Go to the Kaggles, debo it, do that of what you will. Okay? It's open source. As a philosopher, you can't hide behind your math, you can't hide behind your science. Thusly, we, Shyzabox, as a philosopher, do not hide behind our math, we do not hide behind our science. But the most fun part, like we said, is literally now showcasing mankind's stupidity via two metrics, okay? If Delectable becomes a title on the New York Times bestseller list, obviously, mankind is flawed in their logic. However, because we have a closed-loop system, ironically, now, here's where it gets super-duper fun, Internet, okay? If Delectable does not become a title on the New York Times bestseller list, should mankind choose to participate in the model we have set up, okay, we can monitor it, we can track it, we can give that back to which of whom wishes it to be. If society feels of participatory, okay, if they deem experiment worth of the worthy, you can single-handedly show the biggest logical flaw in humanity by creating the metrics with which to sustain the need and or desire for the exact understanding of what entails a New York Times bestseller to be. Okay? Now, we as philosophers, with it being a living philosophical practice in Shyzalosophy that we adhere to, with us knowing money is that of the construct thereof that it is, can't bring it with you, whatever, okay? It's our seeking of that of the daily bread with which we do the confines of that of what we do and entertain and contemplate that of therewith anyway, right? That of living, that of being, is that of the greatest gift of all, and that of the greatest gift which should be, you know, maintained. With that being the case, obviously, you need to seek that of your daily bread. So in doing such, obviously, we feel the need to find ways to reciprocally entail that of what we do with that of what anyone else may do that can afford the opportunity for that to happen. Okay? Same way that one goes and clocks in and works for a hourly rate or an hourly wage, we do the same thing. We just never get paid. Now, believe you me, you might be saying, write better books. Well, good point. Your logic reigns supreme. But because of Lithic Logic reigns supreme, which is universal to anyone who wishes to utilize that of stone and or literally rock, because Lithic Logic reigns supreme, okay, foundationally by every metric, okay, because stones and rocks are, then inherently we already knew that. You got that of what is solid, that of what is foundational, okay, and that of what is seen, and that of a solid structural base, okay? You build your house on the foundation so it doesn't fall, okay? Humanity missed that step in their understanding, okay? Whoops, it happens, okay? Humanity takes massive leaps and jumps and bounds, and then they kind of mess up here and there, okay? Humanity took a massive leap and jump and bound. Okay, here comes humanity over here and like, oh, we stumbled. Oh, wait, where are we walking to? And mankind's building a bridge to wherever the hell they're going over there. Okay, nuh-uh. Babel was that way. You fell off the path because you were trying to do that of what is reserved for that of, obviously, God. All right? Delectable in itself, okay, the lectonic usages that are afforded and provided therewith can create quite the vivid, okay, we want to be very careful, quite the vivid portrait of an... Man, we want to find another word. Yeah. Portrait of a mirror. You can't just go around and say the word oracle and have it correlate, okay? But in essence, if you utilize that of a very lithical understanding, okay, that of a very practiced, tried and true methodology, reproven metric, doable experiment, reproducible results, whatever that's called, okay, that's what Lekton afford the opportunity to do. Okay? When you say the unsayable and paint it into that of its corner, okay, then you are that of the vernacular master. Okay? Thusly, you are that of Shyzabox. Now, believe you me, anyone can be Shyzabox. Okay? Anyone can do that of which we do, that of which we've done. Especially after we've done it, because you can literally just rerun our entire Kaggle notebook that was open source and free. We did it. Go do it again. We already did. Makes it easier for you. Okay. We already did it first, so knock yourself out. having a metric and a means now to test and or visually see how dumb humanity is, can be, and or is and can be, is the funniest thing, and we're going to have more entertainment in this regardless of the outcome and or results that occur within whenever that happens, okay? The measures of knowing, all right, now, that's our author copies up here on this one, okay? We have 25 author copies with which we know in existence, okay? That's our failed Kickstarter. That's not a joke. You bastards, Internet. You like to pick on the weak and unfortunate, huh? The 25 author copies in existence, yes, that is our failed Kickstarter. Again, that's not a joke, jerks. All right, so we're starting the metric now of understanding physical copies, digital copies. We're not going to go back through and account for the, 1 or 2 copies over the last few months that were sold. We're not going to comb through the numbers, okay? If we do that for Delectable, we're going to have to do it for all the other books too. Nailing Kalimba and, all the other ones and stuff as well. Believe you me, we don't feel like doing that, okay? We're not going to go back through. With us knowing of our 25 author copies in existence, and us now knowing that we have a viable means of detecting what is undetectable, okay? Humanity is poised to be able to point a giant flashlight, okay, into that of their knowledge and understanding, okay? Now, believe you me, you can't just shine a light on the truth like good old Shyzabox chooses to do, right? No. If you shine a light on truth and you really wish to do that of what is, okay, and you really want to see that of what can be, okay, then you got to play by the means, metrics, and afforded, matrices with which are provided, okay? We can utilize Lithic Logic to do all sorts of shit. You want to send us an email and have us start a research project, we can do that. We're not under an NDA. We don't work for a big company, okay? Shoot us a message on Bluesky. Shoot us a message on X. Send us an email to the channel Punk Rock Review here. Okay, they field the show's hate mail and or lack of fan mail. Whatever. Okay, you can go through and shine the light of truth on whatever you want us to, okay? Good old Shyzabox loves to work symbiotically with everybody who wish, okay? But if you're to shine the light of truth, all right, on something like the New York Times bestseller list and showcase how they, theoretically there are changing all of their numbers and structuring and tricking people in essence to think what is knowledge, you got some hilarity to ensue there and go on, all right? Now, obviously, when you shine the light of truth onto that of which is, that of which can be, all right, you paint quite the unique little specimen, all right, that affords one the understanding of what the light of truth actually does provide, okay? Inherently, you can see through that of what is the most solid of structures, okay? What is the most powerful of entities, the most powerful of being, okay? Now, keep in mind that of the most perfect knowledge is reserved for that of God, okay? Within any sort of closed system, especially when we utilize that of a Shyzalosophical Gödelian closed loop system, okay, we can't inherently just shine a light of truth onto, that of a foundational knowledge and expect it to yield the results with which we wish it to, okay? It can't be done that way, and it necessitates quite a differentiation, okay, in that of its practices and methods with which to achieve the desired results, okay? We can't just go through and blanketedly showcase and point out how broken the logic of the system is without going through and showcasing how broken the logic of the system is. Okay? The Shyzalosophical Gödelian closed loop, it must run its complete course with which to yield that of its next topological result. Okay? Geometry is geometry. Math is math. Okay? We don't hide behind our math. We don't hide behind our science. That's why it's all open source. It's all open code. Knock yourself out. Go to town. Okay? When you shine the light of truth upon that of the structural foundation of a broken system, there's ways to paint quite the vivid picture of, oracally and visually as a portrait what is broken about it. Okay? Now, believe you me, when you are thinking of additional methods and means and ways, okay, to shed that of a splintered, that of a fractured, that of a different understanding of that of truth, all right, you can shed light on all sorts of different iterations, okay, of essences and beings and things of that nature, all right? You can go forth and forward and create that of what is the most unique and spectacular and monumental, all right? Believe you me, not only is it a spectacle of the mind, all right, but when you are showcasing and housing that of the unknown, and you are showcasing and housing that of the source of power and entertainment and aspects and components that make up all of that is understanding and wisdom, okay? That's quite a powerful light of truth to have, right? Not something you can just boldly claim, Cotton. That's why it's important for us to claim it is not ours foundationally. Lithic Logic is not Shyzabox, okay? Shyzalosophy is Shyzabox. Lithic Logic was here before we got here, okay? Göbekli Tepe, Stonehenge, Giza Pyramids, all those, man, yeah, that's all there. We didn't make that stuff. That wasn't us, okay? I don't know, unless you believe in reincarnation and we made those things happen. Insert your logic wherever you feel like, okay? As long as that maintained power structure, that maintained power source, all right, can work for everyone, then we give freely through the power of the internet, okay, that of what they wish to have as well, okay? Foundationally, you're welcome to it. When we look at the little gap that is necessitated, okay, 0.85 millimeter gap, you see that nature inherently, all right, even before, okay, your light's ruining it. Well, whatever. The gap that nature affords, okay, in its foundational growth and metric before it builds upon that of the lithical rock and foundation, okay, is necessitated for that growth to transform and take place, okay? When you have inorganic growth that is placed upon that of what is the watering of the garden to grow crops, okay, you're putting Brondo on it, okay? That's what, in essence, the New York Times bestsellers list to us is now at this point. Theoretically, in our opinion, it's like Brondo on knowledge, okay? It's what minds crave. That's exactly what New York Times bestseller is to us. It's what minds crave. Now, believe you me, when we go to shine a light of truth on, that of any of our understanding or, metrics thereof, okay, if we go and try and attempt to do that of what we haven't before or measure a means which hasn't been done, then universally we want to come to a commonality and a foundational knowledge of understanding thereupon it, okay? But the only way, unfortunately, for detectable to work is for that of society to take part and take, place in it, okay? So therefore, foundationally, we run into a little logical loophole fallacy and or, I guess, opportunity to, portray a hindrance or a hurdle to that of the, project itself, the, what could be the test itself, the, guise of detectable itself, okay? It takes mankind's participation or their desired participation for it to come to fruition, okay? Delectable is designed, all right? It's designed to not have anything to do, okay, upon its creation with any of this. Ironically, because Delectable is a tie-in to that of Lekton, the unsayable, all right, it's going to shed quite the giant light upon that of broken systems, okay? Now, Shyzabox is pretty good with the usages of Lekton herein because, well, Shyzabox wrote the effing book, okay? Because of that, we're able to extrapolate fairly efficiently that of the thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag that this comes at, okay? That's exactly what this provides. Thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag, and theoretically you're not supposed to buy it because Wheeler's it by bit. Bit is free. It costs $250. Don't buy it. Now, Living Philosophy priced itself into existence. Dead Tree made itself 94% off, breaking Amazon's algorithm, okay? That's funny, okay? We already proved our theory, okay? We moved the metric kernel of data from Kaggle to Web3, okay? We can't prove our theory anymore, okay? So that of now we have our books do it for us, okay? We have our literary works doing the heavy lifting because we're on break. So the book prices itself, all right, 94% off, and creates that of what becomes the foundation now for the test to take place. Okay? However, the test cannot take place because the test already exists. Unless... Hey, I'm back. Hey, Jeremy Official. Welcome, welcome. Who's that? Story first-time viewer. What is this stream? Well, this stream's crap. Okay, if we're being honest. Hey, we don't want to lie to you. Who is that? First time, Stoy? Well, we can call you Stoy, right? Of course we can. S-Money. We called Daryl Dixon dibs on being best of the worst internet celebrities there is, okay? Now, inherently with that comes the problem of everyone always spitting in our face and or mouth. Sometimes we're kinky and even like it. And walking all over our back, okay? We called Daryl Dixon dibs on being best of the worst internet celebrities there is, okay? Inherently with that comes the promise of anything else that you watch aside from this being better. Are you monetized? We are not monetized. Negative. No. We are not monetized, but we do peddle and sell that of our literary works in an attempt to reciprocally exchange that of thereof with whoever wishes to partake in that of our exchange thought. Now, we don't want people to feel like they have to read our books or buy our books to get a good old cut of Shyzabox, okay? There's enough Shyzabox to go around. You're welcome, Internet. But no, we aren't monetized. We do sell books, but we give away all of our games, our theory, our working code, and demos for free. Our LimeWire-inspired music player, it's a blast to listen to music and watch little guys dance around and, you know, people run by and knock them over like a pirate, okay? It's hilarious. We love it. Go check it out. Okay? It's on the IPFS site. It's massive. We had to start structuring things and pulling stuff and making it its own little free link on Pinata. That of which is just the free version because, no, we aren't monetized, so therefore we aren't going to pay to host our IPFS site, which we can do for free, on that of Pinata to pin it to make it easier accessible, okay? We're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to, you know, the technologies of Web3 and things of that nature because we already have our own sovereign micro blockchain, okay? Other people who collect cryptocurrency and they collect their little bitcoins and stuff like that, they got fragmented code. Good for you. We don't buy into Bitcoin and stuff like that. Now, we don't give financial advice or anything like that. That is well beyond any of our means. That is not what this is. This is, of course, entirely for philosophical entertainment. But we don't buy into Bitcoin because we inherently use that of mathematical computational structuring entirely different from putting a price tag on it. How the hell do you put a price tag on something like that? It's absurd, and if you think you can encapsulate and enclose that of math, which is universal, you're fucking insane. Hey, what the hell? Are you seriously? Seriously. Now, of course, we don't give financial advice, But if you think you can contain that of math in that of a mathematical code, you are mathematically fucking stupid. Okay? Now, that's some harsh words, Shyzabox, and you shouldn't talk like that with such kind of, verbal assault and profanity, okay? Now, we're sorry. We apologize, okay? But when we think of the ramifications of one computationally thinking that they can house mathematical code and it be secure in mathematical code, the math doesn't compute. You can't code code. You can outcode code, you can encode code, but you can't code code. Now, metaphysics is crazy, and there are ways to house code, and maybe that's the attempt thereof, but our understanding, even house code, you quantum tunnel into that bitch, okay, and you can take whatever you want. So, safety, security measures like that, that's a little harder to do. Now, you can utilize that of like our cryptographically executable witnesses, and you can embed those to individual bitcoins, and then shit, you got, that's traceable currency. Cryptographically executable. It's got a literally digital fingerprint on it, and it's a scientific black box of thing. One little digit, one little comma, decimal period gets moved or out of place, you lose your chassis, okay? There you go. Problem solved. But anyhow, no, we are not monetized, but we do reciprocally trade that if they're with. Hence, you know, it's our scenes thereof, all right, on the guise and metrics and measures and means, okay, of our book Delectable, all right, with which we've now foundationally housed a metric for humanity to do the funniest damn experiment, well, the second funniest or first funniest, depending on what it was. Who was it? There was a company that had crashed out before, and you know, there's time or opportunity for a massive kickback, but no one took it upon themselves to do it. We think it was upon the time, still pertaining to Delectable, upon the metric in time that GameStop had, like, you know, failed out or closed out or kicked out again in additional time. Doesn't matter. It was another opportunity, and it would have been hilarious. But that of our test now that is in place inherently can reign through the ages, and just understand that that of what is understood as the New York Times best-selling metric can change over that period of time, okay? For now, for this living point in history, for this right now present, okay, which will be the past for those who watch this in the future, and it's the future for those who watch it in the present, and it's the non-existent for those who never partake. Metaphysics is crazy, entangle that of how you will. If no one else watches this, but you yourself do, and you want to participate in the test, and you're like, F it, you know, I got an extra $6-7, I don't know. The physical one of Delectable is probably up there. It's probably $10-15, okay? Somewhere in there, we don't remember what it's priced at. Right? Apologies. That's more than we would want to have the cost of admission to that of a test. But alas, if foundationally it's structured, that's what it is, okay? Now, like we said, the New York Times best-selling metric is inherently broken by all philosophical accounts and logical reasoning, okay? The New York Times bestseller list, for it to have a shifting way of ascertainment, okay, is very, very, very misbalanced scales, okay? You can't make this up, all right? It's misfounded logic that is being shoved down people's faces as what is thought of to be desired or wanted logic, okay? If a New York Times best-selling book does additional 2 million sales of that book and additional 100 people read it, then, let's be honest, no one reads the books they buy mostly, right? If another 100 people read the book, all right, that's still another 100 pieces of injected, watered down with Brondo, it's what minds crave knowledge, okay? You can't water down knowledge with Brondo by saying these are the metrics of what we are going to disseminate, okay, literarily, upon the minds of the masses, okay? When you do that, you're lying to the masses because you're just pulling a bunch of bullshit, okay? You're pulling whatever. The paid-to-players, okay? It's a good old boys club, and when you think of the ways that you need the Ingram Spark and profit to digital and things of that nature, all right, it's another flaw in the system. These companies, they handhold, they prop each other up, and then universally, theoretically, we don't know, we haven't looked into this, there's usually an umbrella entity that benefits and profits from it all, okay? Under the guise of any component, any aspect therewith, or any, iteration thereof, there are different, metrics and means for that to come about and or be. And for humanity to desire to want to do the test, that's going to be on humanity. We aren't going to go reach into your wallets and pull on any loot or anything like that out on our own accord or willingness, okay? Not cool, Shyzabox. Get your paws out of our pennies, okay? No. We wish merely to reciprocally trade anything that they're with which anyone wants to trade there with us, okay? Now, if you don't want to, that's fine, as this show will always be free and never paywalled, okay? You want to interact, you want to have some fun, you want to make fun, you want to poke jokes, you want us to work on something, you want to merge and create that of a metaphysical entailment there with us, have at it. We love the company. We get bored, just as anyone else does. And when you're not under an NDA or working for a big company because no one's pulled up with a briefcase full of cash and a tricked out Tesla sign-in bonus, and you just think to yourself, like, yeah, what else do we want to do? Well, now we come up with a way to measure, literally, mankind's stupidity, okay? Not only that, but it's computationally verified. If Delectable becomes a New York Times best-selling book, humanity's stupid, okay? If Delectable does not become a New York Times best-selling book, we have a test now to where we can prove humanity's stupid. Both of which are funny as shit, okay? And very, very sad, but it goes to prove the logical breakdown in mankind's understanding, okay? Knowledge and information is free. New York Times list having secret physical sales numbers that fluctuate and change on a week-by-week basis, that authors that are self-published need to be members of Ingram Spark or Drafted Digital to be even in considerations to be paid for playing good old boys members clubs to even meet the secret metrics. You can't make this shit up. Okay? There's so many inherent hurdles and stumbling blocks to that dissemination of logic that it ends up being a pay-to-play club. And that's exactly what New York Times bestseller list is. So now, should humanity have a care to enact what is the funniest logical live test, literally we are living history right now, Shyzabox is alive. Shyzabox monographed the term Lekton, old dead stoic philosopher term. Those philosophers are dead and gone. We can't ask them anymore. You get Shyzabox. I understand. Shyzabox is free. Okay? You get what you pay for. Literally right now, we have the capacity, once again, as humanity, to do a living test to showcase mankind's stupidity. Now, if Delectable sells 300 million copies today, theoretically, it would not make the New York Times bestseller list, okay? That's a lot of effing books. If this were to sell 3 million copies in a week, it probably wouldn't even matter. We would not make New York Times bestseller list, theoretically. Because of the metrics that are in place, all right? New York Times bestseller list operates off of secret digital and physical sales numbers that are fluctuated and changed on a regulating basis according to their own wills and whims. You can't make this up. For people to have to pay to play to be members of Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital, whether they are one of the ones where you make a free account and pay in revenues later, it's another corporation, another entity, another being that's acting as a third-party seller that is instructed to operate under the guise of what allows the New York best-selling Times author book collective sales metric to even be housed or maintained. The logic is absurd, the logic is broken, and so thusly, if humanity wants to participate in the test that is set up, now we understand, it's Shyzabox's book, the proceeds and money go somewhere. No one wants Shyzabox to get rich on the metric and affordability or accord of just trying to do a test to show how stupid humanity is. Okay? Inherently, Shyzabox, us, we ourselves, are under the metric and understanding that money is a construct. We seek not subscripifications. We seek not upvotes. We don't tell people like and subscribe at the end of every video. Downvote the shit out of it. Don't subscribe. We don't care. Do whatever you want. You're gonna do it anyway. Don't be influenced by Shyzabox. Be your own being. Upvote, downvote, it's a digital construct. When we're dead, who gives a fuck? So we don't care now. Now, the humanity side and component and aspect, every author wants their book to be New York Times bestseller. We would lie to ourselves and we would lie to you if inherently we didn't say, yes, inherently, we would love a little golden sticker, New York Times bestseller on Delectable, okay? Shyzabox might be an okay philosopher after all, okay? He might be out there crazy, whatever. Yes, as a human, our flawed reasoning, our flawed logic says, yes, we would like that, we would want that, okay? We are smart enough to know that we are that dumb, okay? That's our flaw. We are human. Humanity is flawed. We need to work together in any metrics and means, all right, to try and overcome that dumbness. Ideally, okay, again, this offers philosophical entertainment. Utilize your subjective understanding that of with which you do. We literally now, because the book exists, because the work exists, because it broke Amazon's pricing algorithm by making it 94% off on Amazon.com. You can't make this stuff up, man. It priced itself into affordability, affording now the opportunity to, in essence, do quite the funny test to show how stupid mankind can be and or is. With the New York Times bestselling list showcasing that it's brondoed, watered down, it's what minds crave knowledge, because you have to be a member of the Good Old Boys Club, and or you have to utilize that of the, you know, joining the Ingram Spark in the digital, or the profit to digital and things of that nature. You have to join these things to even get to water brondo on the minds of what minds crave. Okay? In essence, okay, authors that are injecting their works and paying these fees and things of that nature are probably getting ripped off in the long run and selling no more copies than we ourselves already organically do. Okay? One here, one there. Shyzabox ain't getting rich doing any of this stuff. We don't even have a ceiling. Okay? Now, we understand the money has to go somewhere. We understand that from Delectable, if a physical copy of this book gets purchased, okay, not from the third-party sites that have it at the $250, don't buy it, okay? But we probably get a buck or two from a physical copy of this book being sold, okay? We don't get rich off of our literary works or sales or anything like that. No self-published authors generally do in any means, metric, or accord, okay? The only authors that ever get rich off of books or things like that are generally those one-off authors, those Stephen Kings, those, entities that write other stuff, the George R.R. Martins, okay? They fill that role, they fill that niche, they create that title. Same way in the music industry, okay? You have your bands that are underground. That's good old Shyzabox, okay? Our books are underground. Especially you start thinking of how exactly pickled punk philosophy and stuff like that operates and works. Pickled punk philosophy is an inherently super underground title. It's not going to appeal to just anyone. There's a certain measured and metric of one's desired entanglement here with this literary work, all right? Not a hard read at all. It's a fun read. There's more entanglements in just acquiring a little pocket copy of, pickled punk philosophy, for one, than even picking up an entire copy of Delectable or New Non-Native Species on Mankind's Origin. Okay? But no matter which one of our books you would correlate or pick up on or anything like that, Delectable of all the titles has now, because of its data and what it contains, being in essence thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag, okay, portraying that of the lectonic usages which exist within that of our Shyzalosophical closed Godelian loop system, all right, of course impermeable to that of outside facts with which can't contradict itself, okay, it's a pretty tough nut to crack then, okay, so therefore it has poised itself to crack some tough nuts, okay? Can't make this up. With it having proven it priced itself at 94% off, okay, showcasing that of its merit, metric, and resolve, okay? Whether you view it empirically and or not, it's subjective, okay? Metaphysical empiricalization reign in an entirely different field and spectrum than that of mankind's current understanding, okay? Apologies. There becomes components and aspects, all right, to metaphysical empiricalization, okay, that aren't accounted for, aren't attributed, aren't understood by the current understandings of man to such a degree that this test is a Bodie McBoatface naming of a physical award. Okay? You can't make this up. Should Delectable necessitate a means of making it to the New York Times bestseller list, it showcases the breakdown in logic, and if it doesn't become a New York Times best-selling book, ironically, it showcases a breakdown in logic within that of understanding. Okay? Now, ironically, on a metaphysical level, there's an alternative test that is a substrative test within that of the test itself, okay? Which is a complete reversal flipping, okay? Where, because as above, so below, okay, there is a metric and method to do such, all right? But again, you're going to venture off into some crazy thinkings and stuff like that on that behalf and accord. But as far as anything goes to, what the hell? No, I want that. Here. Do that. You'll love this guy in the background. He's an asshole. Beyond the means of metric and, understanding of how Brondo is watering down the minds with what minds crave, okay? Telling people these are the New York Times bestsellers, these are the books people want, these are the ideas people think, these are the, readings people love, okay? Cherish, are viewing, are reading, are having their, entailed interactions therewith, all right? They're all a lie. theoretically all for philosophical entertainment. Now, obviously, there's organic sales and there's organic correlations to that of books. But when you're force-fed that of an idea that these are the books that are most popular and these are the ideas that are most popular, that's just the metric of brainwashing. Okay? You are being brainwashed if you are under the understanding, under the guise, under the, logical thinking, okay, that the New York Times bestsellers list is thusly what mankind is thinking as a whole. Because inherently it's not. Okay? It's probably the same way that Congress and things like that end up pissing people off when they go to Congress because they don't do the shit they say they will. They don't do the shit they say they'll do. And then they lie about the shit that they don't do and don't do. Okay, it's the same thing. All right? They're trying to tell people it's what people crave. Congress is pulling the Brondo of it's what people crave for their security. It's the Brondo of it's what people crave for their, sensibilities. It's the Brondo of it's what people crave for their logical understanding of government. Okay? The same way New York Times best-selling list thusly works, okay, with a secretive measure and metric that can't be studied or looked at or anything like that. They are hiding behind their math. They are hiding behind their science for a reason. Okay? You can't make this up. The fact that people have been buying into this for so long, even prior to Shyzabox coming along, is questionable. Okay? Mankind has allowed themselves to be literally brondoed. It's what minds crave for as long as people who have bought into the system of New York Times bestsellers list. That's the means and metrics to go by. It's what minds crave. You have been brondoed on your head-ode. Okay? Your mind garden has been dumb-tectable, okay? Now, you might draw the correlation and be able to see exactly how dumb-tectable, delectable can correlate and line up to that of the New York Times bestsellers broken list. Broken system, broken means, broken measures, broken metrics, okay? Now, we understand, like we said, the money has to go somewhere. Okay? Inherently, if humanity jumps into the pool of buying delectable, okay, to execute a philosophical test that proves mankind's stupidity in a very funny McBoat-face manner and means, okay, theoretically there would be an accumulation of what would be construed as money, finances, and or wealth within which, one would benefit or deem benefit is made or been made therein. Okay? Thusly, we take it upon ourselves to foundationally state that yes, we do feel money is indeed a construct, and we wish to never have that of more than what of wish we with, thinking and the living symbiotic exchange thereof, a necessitation therefore. We aren't going to house and get stuff. Someone needs to tell us, hey, get rid of some of that if you ever see us approaching like millionaire status, okay? Say, start spreading that stuff around, okay? You might run a foundational philosophical empire, Shyzabox, should it be. But you better not be running that foundation in the same manners, means, and metrics that others have for years and years, decades, and centuries upon this time. Believe you me, we will not. Money is a construct. Just because we have a way to literally have our book showcase now how stupid mankind and humanity can be, how we literally have a working test now that can showcase the broken metrics of the New York Times bestseller list. Okay? Because the New York Times bestseller list is secretive in nature, all right, we can secretively, and or not secretively in our case, because we're open source, unlike the New York Times bestseller list, we can conceptually keep track of how the New York Times bestsellers metrics work, okay? Now, obviously, like we said, you break those weekly book sales records and stuff like that. Well, that's, of course, going to be an inorganic and or organic structure that humanity drives as a whole on individual nodes, okay? The dissemination of such, we can't go town to town, state to state, country to country, and tell people, hey, go buy Delectable because it'll be funny as shit to show how stupid mankind is, Bodie McBoatface internet style, okay? Now, ironically, because of future technologies and because of how things are disseminated in today's day and age, anyone can forward that of this link or that of this idea, that of this understanding metric of, you know, test that is set up in this thereof to whoever they wish, okay? They can be like, I'm going to send this to 10 of my friends and tell them, hey, we can do a mankind stupidity test. It'll be funny as shit, okay? You'd have so many copies of Delectable going around that, you know, the entities that do safeguard and gatekeep that of knowledge and understanding, they won't know what the fuck it is, okay? Literally, Delectable, this is a monographing of Lekton, okay? This is very, very, very advanced meta-philosophy, okay? You can't make this up at all. Okay? It handholds not, it walks the mind's not. This book is crazy as shit, okay? Bold statement, Cotton, it's the internet. People will look and see. Our favorite quote, and we don't even say the quote properly. It's not even our quote. We don't even know whose it is off the top of our head. I don't know why you'd celebrate that. You take two philosophers, or any philosophers, you want to see which one's the better. You put their books next to each other and see which one's the craziest. Our book's pretty crazy, just saying. We literally have a means and a method now for orchestrating this test, okay? The Dumbtectable, to showcase how stupid mankind is. And or can be, okay? The means and metrics for that of New York Times bestseller list, to have that of the brightest light of truth shown on that of its basic, that doesn't go there, logical, lithical, you know, understanding structure and things of that nature, all right? Just merely showcases, all right, that of the truth, that the light will shine through one way or another, okay? Now, if you can get another book to theoretically there breach and break and contradict that of a algorithmic structuring, all right, of verified computational matrices, then you could theoretically try and house and set up the test again, but believe you me, it would be far harder, okay? Kind of the same way that of which is already done, that of once the information is out and understood, there's no way to retract and or bring it back, okay? You can obfuscate, you can omit, you can destroy, you can do all of that, but once it's out and about, it exists in that of the form of thereof it does, okay? And believe you me, in a closed Gödelian loop, it resurfaces and comes that of their back. So the metric of understanding and that of metaphysical components and aspects is very, very misleading, we think, to a few corporations and entities that operate and work out there on their broken structures. It's the funniest thing. Now you see these people double down and triple down on stupidity, okay? Well, we can highlight and showcase stupidity, and we can formulate and show that of ways that inherently are some of the funniest damn methods with which that has, you know, even been orchestrated to occur, right? The mere fact that we can set up this test, all right, that we can showcase that of whether it happens or not, that of mankind's stupidity is the perfect symbiotical yin-yang balance that Shyzalosophy and that of Shyzabox brings to the table, okay? Our math is solid. We don't hide behind it. Shyzabox don't play with leftovers and remainders, okay? Now, what does that mean? Inherently, it means in the grand scheme of things that no matter what, we don't need to do the test. The results are already in. We already know humanity and mankind's stupid. But if you want, here's the funny part, if you want computational, verifiable, ascertainable, empirical knowledge that humanity and mankind's stupid, participate in the test and go ahead and buy the book that we tell you do not buy. Don't buy it from, those people charging $250. Hell no. But if you want to participate in that of the test, and you want to showcase that of humanity and mankind being stupid, then buy the book. If enough individuals and enough folks feel like doing it, it will prove to be some of the most logical, hilarious things that one could even comprehend to take place upon that of this earth. To be able to universally showcase humanity's stupidity by this test even not necessitating being taken place, all right, just by merely stating, that of the fact, okay? As knowing that they'll never ascertain that form of perfect knowledge ever. Okay? It's reserved. That of for God. Okay? To be able to computationally verify that humanity is stupid via this test is the most hilarious thing, philosophically. Okay? Now, like we said, mankind need not play, need not do that of which, but we will keep a working active tally of how many physical copies that Delectable manages to go from this point. Okay, now again, we tell people not to buy it. It's probably not going to jump all too often. Okay, like we said, we sell one title here, one title there. Nothing big, nothing major. Okay, we don't get rich off of it. If anything, we make a buck or two or something like that. Okay. We will now maintain this metric up here, and periodically we'll check in with the sales numbers and things of that nature, all right? And we'll kind of keep track on stuff and where it goes. Now, should mankind and humanity not want to participate in that of the test, we understand, we get it. That's fine, okay? Nothing wrong with that, okay? It's $15 of entropy that can go to another formalization thereof, okay? That's fine. Crazy how that works. That's one hell of a philosophical correlation there, Shyzabox. That's because that of our Gödelian closed-loop system, the Shyzalosophical versioning thereof, operates under the guise and premise of its own perfect knowledge. That's right. But that's under the guise of knowing that perfect knowledge is reserved for that of God. Okay? So, remember, anyone can do it. We've done it first. If you want to showcase some of the most funniness that can transpire, that can happen, that can occur, then it necessitates looking no further than at what Delectable is, what it offers, what it showcases, what it houses, what it brings to the table, and what it affords in its computational ability and prowess, okay? Remember, Delectable is thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag, okay? We don't hide behind our math. We don't hide behind our science. That's all open source, open working on Kaggle. Feel free to knock yourself out. Check it all out. Or if you would like, we appreciate, of course, anyone who feels like going to that of Amazon.com, Books A Million, Kindle Unlimited, ordering, checking on, or buying one of our books. Should they choose? Entirely up to you. But especially if you go to Books A Million, order Transmutating God or Nailing Kalimba, New Non-Native Species on Mankind's Origin. That's a fantastic one. And or Pickled Punk Philosophy, because on occasion everyone needs an angsty read. Get home after a long day, you're a little mad, you're a little perturbed, you're like, I'm an angsty punk. So, I don't know. You curl up with a good book cry in the corner with a good, nice cup of tea or insert beverage of your choice here. Now, you don't have to cry in the corner. Obviously, you'd probably be doing that if you bought the book and read it, okay? Not really. That's not really the metrics under which it's written. Unless that's what you want, in which case... that could be the regret speaking. I want to read that. Oh, you pick up any of the works with which you should, choose to incorporate and or do. But keep in mind that delectable, okay, now offhandedly, while it is thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag, this inherently resides in that of the form of the test for the dumb tectable, which is just hilarious. It's some of the most fun we're going to have now. You might be saying that, you would be one to elicit that of your own fun and that of the endeavors and things that you undertake and partake in, and you are absolutely correct. Because believe you me, it's hilarious. So, as we sit back and know and realize we are out of our swill and things of that nature, yes, we take it upon ourselves to know that indeed the show must indeed call itself at close and an ending upon that of the time that it has thusly struck the clock thereof. Yep, we feel like leaving. Believe you me, speak up now in the chat if you want a quick back in 5, and we can do a quick back in 5, but alas, it is time for us to exit that of the now proposed test, all right, with which mankind can participate. We will be talking about this periodically over the iterations of the next couple streams. Please don't. Keep those comments to yourself. No, this is hilarious, okay? Dumb tectable, trust me. It's a logical test now that is set up upon the throngs of living society, okay? Now, keep in mind, we're not under an NDA, we don't work for a big company or corporation or anything like that. We don't adhere to or need to maintain the standards that HR affords. So, this can get pretty fun depending on societal pushback, okay? Now, lots of means and metrics for someone as crazy as good old Shyzabox to go around claiming they've theoretically decoded the Voynich manuscript, okay? What? The guy who decoded the Voynich manuscript or claims to have monographed an ancient philosophical term Lekton and is doing crazy shit with it, like decoding the Voynich manuscript? Well, maybe that's a test worth kind of checking or doing to showcase maybe if the methodologies in a Shyzalosophical Gödelian closed-loop system physically can structurally adhere to and maintain a lithical logic of understanding that foundationally society standards and practices can be based off of, necessitating and facilitating a change for the betterment of mankind's knowledge, truth, wisdom, seeking, and understanding, and all of the seekings and that and thereof. Or, the book never makes the New York Times bestsellers list, and humanity's stupid. Doesn't matter. Humanity is stupid either way. Shyzabox is one of humanity. We don't hide behind our math. We don't hide behind our science. And these entities, these corporations that do, with their secretive numbers and things of that nature, with their changing metrics that people must adhere to, with their good old boys wanting people to join Ingram Spark and draft to digital and things of that nature. These entities that are in place, all right, they're part of a good old boys club system. And believe you me, we like to look at our extension to constructor theory under Deutsch and Marletto and all components and aspects thereof. And when we look at thermodynamics and we look at entropy and we look at going beyond isomorphism and beyond Landauer's principles and everything like that, okay, we look at the second law. I mean, that's negotiable, okay? The limitations that mankind has put upon themselves as far as like their understanding, that's on them. Humanity's stupid. Buy delectable, don't buy delectable. We say don't buy the physical copy because it shows humanity's stupid. And ironically, it's just a second test that the work within itself showcases itself because it's thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag. A certain amount of people are allowed to buy in. Where within, which between us, is that of that balance? That is the question, and believe you me, if we had the answer to that, we probably wouldn't have even done this stream. For as humanity is stupid, Shyzabox is stupid, and that of this test, dumb-tectable, can showcase that of humanity being stupid on either ways, whether the test kicks off and happens, or the test does not kick off and happen. Delectable has structured itself symbiotically because it's an entangled versioning of the seekings of truth. It structured itself dynamically, linguistically, and that of the lectonic usages of Lekton, the, non-sayable, sayable, okay, the non-existent, that exists, okay, here it is, it exists. That of the information does not exist, but it exists, right? The metric means and understandings under the guise of which humanity operates are the guise of which the eternal, everlasting light of truth showcases, shines, and becomes ever heir apparent to that of what is organically afforded naturally through that of nature. That's right. So as we sit back and realize we're out of swill, think to ourselves, it's time to get out of here. You be sure that you take care of you yourself first and foremost, because there's only one you, and we can't replace you that easy. That's right. No, we can't go around making any more fake accounts subscribing to ourselves. We got in trouble for that last time. They told us knock it off, or we'd get in even more trouble. That's right. Now that means that we have to revolve and resolve on those of others, maybe perhaps potentially subscribing. We understand no one wants to, okay? Believe you me, we'd rather have your money than your subscription. That's why we sell our books, okay? You can buy any of those, and you can participate now in the dumb-tectable test. If you buy Delectable, it showcases mankind's stupidity, and ironically, if you don't buy Delectable, it showcases mankind's stupidity. That's because Shyzabox is the vernacular master, and when this book literally broke the pricing algorithms all by itself, not with us, of Amazon.com's pricing algorithm, made itself 94% off, it showed that that of our theory is proving itself even that more on its own. We've already proved our theory. We can't prove our theory anymore. Our theory's now proven itself, and it affords the opportunity, should mankind choose to participate in the test of a measuring of the stupidity thereof, we can showcase and highlight exactly how dumb the New York Times bestsellers list, acting as Brondo, giving minds what they crave, is a blatant lie because they utilize secretive numbers, metrics of sales with which they base the best-selling authors list they're on, okay? You need to be a member of the Good Old Boys Club to even qualify, all right, in the metric of independent author, okay? A self-published author, independent researcher like ourselves can never theoretically, even with this book selling 3 million copies in a week, maintain or make that of the New York Times bestseller list, okay? That being the case, with that being, should this book ever become a New York Times bestseller, it breaks the metric and shows that mankind is stupid for having it to begin with because it's breakable. If this book does not become a New York Times bestseller, It showcases the stupidity of mankind because there's literally thermodynamic enlightenment at a price tag with which they turned a blind eye to and which not to utilize and participate with. Okay? Believe you me, that lithic logic, that everlasting light of truth with which we try and portray and bring forward and forth to the masses, okay, is that of our understanding, that of our knowledge base, and that of any subsect of understanding thereof, all right, that allows us to venture into that of the additional realms of metaphysical quandary, of what we wish to ascertain and ascribe to as far as thought and theory and things of that nature, okay? When we utilize the practices of playing around in the realm of what could be computationally, theoretically, and everything like that, we know that in the utilizations of our Shyzalosophical closed Gödelian loop system, okay, anyone can have one. But remember, we have one first. We called the math, and we sealed it with a cryptographically executable witness that's a digital fingerprint in a black box for scientific means and apparatuses in the computational network, okay? So, we did it first. The work is done. Buy delectable or don't buy delectable, we are having some good old-fashioned fun. Be sure you take care of yourself first. There's only one you. We're not making any more fake accounts to subscribe to ourselves. Let that of what be. You look around after you take care of yourself, after the plane's going down crashing, you realize mankind is flawed and their logic is stupid. You start putting on your own mask first because you gotta, of course, take care of yourself first. You look around to anyone else who really, really, really needs it second, okay? That's right. Some people are in such a position that they need so much help that they don't even know how to begin to ask for it, okay? That's right. Breaks our heart, right? So, give them a buck. Help them out. Do what they need. But you take care of yourself first. You take care of everyone else who really needs it second. You might see us in the corner of the room peddling our work. So, buy Nailing Kalimba. You'll love it, right? Read us a quote from it and we'll see, okay? Oh, come on. Now we got to read you a quote from Nailing Kalimba? All right, real quick, but then we're going, okay? Like a toddler wanting a bedtime story. All right, we know that Nailing Kalimba, another one of our works available on Amazon.com. This one does not pertain to the test Dumbtectable, but it does have a shipwreck table of contents, which is pretty awesome. We go buy the book. Which is it? Buy Delectable or buy that? I'm only buying one. Buy whatever you feel like. All right, here's our quote from Nailing Kalimba. You're welcome. When I was but a lad, suckling on me mother's tit, I could hear that of the sea calling my nature. 'Twas this indeed from whar me tale begins? Nay, 'twas merely upon that of the teat itself, where I suckled the beat of that of the universe. Now, fantastic. If I heard that cliffhanger, I'd buy the book to read the rest. What? That was the intro. No, don't worry about it. When you're working with the powers of what can be created, what can be manifested, what can be maintained, then good old Shyzabox loves that of the most powerful. That is knowing that perfect knowledge inherently belongs to that of God, so we bend the knee to that of our theological and religious views. We don't bend the knee to that of man. That in why is why we don't mind being of the metric to showcase that of humanity's stupidity, even though we're part. Because that of the powers that are, that of the powers that can be, that of the powers that exist, whether theologically you agree with or not, all right, are that of one's own understandings and interpretations and usages therewith. So lay that of the lithical foundation with which we can build upon greater things together, and let's put aside, let's get past any of the petty differences with which our the own yokes and constraints on that of the necks of man with which are inhibiting us from doing great things together. That's right. But again, take care of yourself first. Take care of anyone else who really needs it second. Take care of anyone else that you like or love more than us. Unlikely, but maybe. You might like 6, 7 people more than us. Okay, we get it. But if you got anything left over at the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers. We'll take whatever crap you got. Pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, we don't care. A penny's a penny. And believe you me, we'll take a penny. You can even throw it at us and we'll stop and pick it up. And be like, oh, thank you, sir. Can we have another? Believe you me, beggars can't be choosers. And on occasion we choose to beg, but it's on our own. It's on our own principles, right? The rules of the unwritten code of the internet. Doesn't matter, does it not? We got the test live. Dumbtectable is going. We'll check back in with that later. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out, should you have chosen to. And remember, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. So downvote the shit out of this. Go to Cashapp and give us a buck, or go to Amazon.com, search Shyzabox Books, or go to Books A Million. Tell Nor do you want a Shyzabox Books. Get off our lawn!